Is Sami Zayn officially on SmackDown? Is he officially done? Well, we're here to talk about it. We're here to talk about the Monday Night Raw from last night, April the 28th, 2025. As always, this is 716 Sports Entertainment with your Monday Night Raw recap. And as always, I'm Mike Savoletto, joined by Mr. T. Reese and Mr. Sean O'Neill, and we're going to break it all down for you guys. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. Enable those notifications so you can know when our next videos come up. And yeah, guys, let's get right into it. The Monday Night Raw opened up last night with Seth Rollins coming out to the ring with his new faction of Braun Breaker and the Walrus, Paul Heyman. And Seth laid out his plan for where this group is going, answered some of the questions that we kind of had on our minds about, what this group was going to be all about and where they were going to go. And interestingly enough, it was Sami Zayn who came out first and foremost in his usual kind of Sami Zayn fashion, where, white, like raw white meat baby face Sami Zayn saying, like, which we've heard 100 times from Sami Zayn, this is not you. This is not, the kind of guy I knew. This is not my friend. He's delivered this promo to Kevin Owens. He's delivered it to Jey Uso. He's delivered this promo to Cody. So it's been the same kind of thing we've heard from Sami Zayn time and time again. But this was kind of the storyline, if you will, right, throughout the night, and it led all the way into the main event. So I guess we'll kind of break it down, but I'll pass it to you, Sean, first. So what did you think of the segment leading in throughout the whole recap of the show, and I guess what they're kind of trying to do with Seth Rollins' new group?
So, I mean, we all knew at the end of the night that Sammy was never going to take the offer to leave just because it's Sami Zayn and he's the perennial punching bag of WWE. And like you said, it's the exact same promo that he always delivers. This time they were able to make it work. The reason they can make it work with it is because they always put him with people who he's friends with. And so that promo always has a little bit of feeling to it because it is, their friendships amongst all these guys. I think the bigger thing that I kind of want to see with this with Paul Heyman's more dangerous alliance here, as it looks like it seems to be forming, is who else is going to join? Because there's no way that it's just going to be Rollins, Heyman, and Breaker. I feel like, as evidenced by the forefathers there of the previous Dangerous Alliance, it got to be a pretty big group. So I'm curious to see if they go into a similar direction with it there.
I am a bit tired of the Sami Zayn being the moral compass storylines. They do nothing else with the guy. And it's just watch and repeat when they want to include him into they're almost like forcing him into storylines to be that character. Now, they could have openly just kind of made it. I'm surprised they just didn't make a decision and not give him this whole, allow him to do the moral compass speech. I think that it should have just been an open invitation for Sammy to join. And he had one option. I mean, he didn't even need to have the match with Braun Breaker. They could just made him an ultimatum, and then at the end of the show, show him make his decision in the ring. And if they were smart, if you ask me, I think they should have Sammy join it. Here's a guy who's been overlooked over and over again. Fans love him, and he had every right to be pissed off with wrestling right now. So I think they should have probably let him join, but we don't know what their plan is with him going forward. I've seen some rumors. I don't know if you've seen it, but A-Town Down is supposed maybe he's joining this crew. I don't know if you've seen that, but he's rumored to be joining this faction, which makes sense. Obviously, another young and up and coming wrestler who they're going to, Paul's going to try and wheel in, and these are the future of the WWE. But I just think the moral compass storyline they need to stop it with Sammy and allow him to get involved because he's a great wrestler. He's a great storyteller too. They just don't do enough with him. And I know they have a lot to do with this whole, obviously there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that's involved. The reason why they don't put him in a lot of things, but I think he's a talent that they waste.
I agree with that.
Honestly,
And
honestly, it's why heel Sami Zayn was as good as he was.
I think that two things. One, it kind of annoys me a little bit that the crowds, and I think this is a bigger problem within WWE, where lately it seems like heels have been getting cheered more and faces have been getting booed more. And the crowd really wants to get behind the Seth Rollins group, just like we saw a little bit later in the show where the crowd really wanted to get behind Becky Lynch as well, right? And Triple H needs to really not rush some of these storylines, especially the Becky one, right? Which we'll get to that in a minute. But it really like if you don't organically allow something to happen, it's going to, and you don't really demonstrate like the ferocity. And I think that's what they were trying to do with this story was they were really trying to like present Sammy as like this, like to your point, Terrence, like, this moral compass character and like to have him get his, to have him get his ass kicked, and stomped at the end of the show and, beaten to a pulp by Braun Breaker. I think what they're trying to do is, you were meant to have the audience feel sorry for Sammy and ultimately get the heels booed. But that is continuing kind of to not happen, right? Like the heels are not getting booed. So that's my first point. My second point is, are we completely throwing away the story we had last week with Sami Zayn and Jey Uso? Because it kind of seems like we are.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna come full circle on that. I think that's lined up for something later. Because don't forget, Jay has the belt. So if there's any belt that you're gonna probably have Seth go after, is that belt. So you're not gonna have him cross into the Cody storyline right now because there's too much going on. I think Cody's gonna be gone for a while too, and they're not gonna have him go against Cena. It makes no sense. There's other stuff they could do with Cena, but I think that more than likely they're going to come back to the Jey Uso. Jey Uso, they may even have Jey Uso address this situation next week. Could be because remember they had a little talk later on in the show, so it's possible that they may be coming back to that. Maybe why they showed that.
I think it's important to remember the people that Sammy interacted with backstage for this whole segment. He had Otis back there in the one point. He ran into Karrion Kross, and he ran into Jay. And I wouldn't be surprised to see all three of those other men somehow get involved in this. I personally would love to see Cross join this group.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, but I think it would. I would love to see it, but I don't think it'll happen.
Well, they're basically just starting another faction on the other side. You're going to have you're going to have Roman Reigns. You're going to have CM Punk, and they're going to throw a third person in there.
Sammy?
Almost be like they're not really a faction, but they're all connected and they're gonna be all, your enemy is my enemy type deal. So I can probably see them going in that direction, but I really do think that they, if they want to help that crew out, I really think they should have Sami Zayn join that faction.
My only problem with factions is that when you get to the point where you have too many of them, like we see in other promotions, it kind of loses its allure of having the factions there.
They don't really have that many factions in WWE.
No, and the thing is with their factions, as long as you don't include everyone in the faction into every storyline, then you're fine with it. But the problem is when you start including all the factions, they're jumping to people over and over. All of them are jumping somebody over and over again. Then that's what people get tired of. But I will say this, Mike, I wanted to comment on what you said about the Sami Zayn situation, and the fact that the crowd is rooting for heels. WWE, that's if there's anything they've dropped the ball on is like you said, they're rushing too many faces in the heels at the same time, and not developing storylines and make like the Becky Lynch thing makes no sense. We'll come to that, but they're forcing you to decide who's a heel and who's a face instead of playing along with the crowd's emotions and then allowing the storyline to dictate things and how the crowd reacts. You're just going to throw all the faces out there to be heels. I mean, nobody knows who to cheer for because there's no bad and good.
Right.
Everyone's pretty much the same.
Well, and they didn't really change. Seth Rollins didn't change, right? He's still the same guy with the same theme song that everybody wants to sing. And yes, they tried to present him as dastardly at the end of the show, but the crowd still cheered for him, right? And then like when Braun Breaker went for his spear, the crowd was like one more time, right? So I mean, I think this is a bigger problem that WWE has where their booking of faces and heels is just off. heels get booked 1,000 times better than faces do. And I mean that's been a problem not just in WWE but everywhere, right? Faces tend to get booked really poorly, and they get booked like they're for like look at the WrestleMania main event, right? Like Cody got booked like an idiot. I mean, like so many baby faces get booked like idiots, and this is what happens. So anyway, moving along to the first match we had in the show. We had Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez as a call-up from last week when there was the interference that occurred in that match. So this was a good match. They gave it a couple of commercial breaks here. I think it was two commercial breaks. And then as the match kind of broke down, the ending was interrupted by Julia, who came in and attacked Rhea Ripley with a chop block as she attempted to kind of execute her finisher, the Riptide. And then the beatdown continued until Io came down for the save, and the duo kind of worked together until Julia and Roxanne kind of exited the ring together. So I've been seeing reports that Julia and Roxanne are full-time Monday Night Raw and no longer in NXT. And similarly, it doesn't seem like Stephanie Vaquer is long for NXT either because this is her second match that she had a little bit later on in the show. So guys, what do we think of the opening match, and what do we think of the news that we're getting Julia and Roxanne up, maybe especially Julia, quicker than we thought?
I think that something you and I were talking about behind the scenes here, that them calling all these women up means we're more likely to see that Mariah May signing become reality. I'm honestly surprised at how quick they're calling up both Vaquer and Julia, though.
Well, we don't know
Seems
about
awful.
Vaquer yet. We don't know about Vaquer yet. She still has the belt. She still has the belt, but it seems definite for Julia and Roxanne. They seem like they're going to be like a tag team.
I mean, if I recall correctly, didn't Owens get called up with the NXT title though when he got called up
Don't remember.
and was working both? I believe he was working both shows.
Maybe I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember that either. I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah, if we look it up, I believe he did. But even if what you're saying along your lines, Mike, she's worked two shows back to back. I wouldn't be surprised if as soon as she drops the title, she's made roster bound.
Yeah, you're right though. I mean, it is fairly quick. I didn't expect them just to toss them in there like this, like they are. They're kind of getting tossed into the old skillet, and they haven't really been introduced to the main rosters. So, I mean, WWE has a tendency of doing that with the NXT wrestlers. I think the problem, it's not a problem, but I think what they're trying to do is cram that women's division because it's falling. They really don't have a whole lot in the women's division that's
And
really interesting in watching. Yeah. So they got to cram a bunch of people up in there, and if they're bringing May in, which I don't know if they're going to bring her to the right to the roster, I think they might turn the center NXT. Makes sense to me to center NXT. Could be the reason why they're sending all them up here to make room for her to go down there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
they've got too many women in NXT, right? Like so. I wish they would have given Julia a little bit more time to cook, but it also might make sense why she lost the title, right? As well, like more so as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but they get them up there, start getting this women's division. The only thing is we're going to touch on it, I'm sure, but we talked off camera. I think they used too many segments on this show for the Seth Rollins thing, and not enough with some of the other storylines they try to push through the show.
We desperately, we need a segment from we need a promo or a vignette from Julia and Roxanne as to like what's going on, and hopefully we get that next week. I'm going to be very disappointed if they bungle the two of them. Like, Roxanne has had a hell of a year so far, and Julia is one of my favorite wrestlers on the planet. So if they bungle the two of them, I'm going to be really disappointed. This led us into our obligatory Logan Paul challenges the new champion segment, where Logan Paul came to the ring, acted like his typical douchebag self, making fun of your community here. And this had him call out the new champion, Jey Uso, and they kind of got into a little bit of a pissing contest. Jey Uso hit him with the super kick and walked off, and then a bit later, Logan sucker punched him backstage. So this kind of happens all the time. Logan Paul will challenge the new champion. It happened with Cody. It happened in the middle of Roman's title reign, and he's gotten a few others in there as well. So, yeah, what do we think? I mean, no one's kind of surprised by this, right? And no one really thinks that Jay's going to lose. But I mean, what do you guys think about this?
Sean?
So it seems like this is, like you said, not just your obligatory, but it always feels like it's within a month or two right after Mania that this happens. So, I mean, Logan Paul is one of those guys who can afford to take the loss. And I think he'll be a good matchup for Jay as far as physicality wise. They're both pretty agile in the ring, and he's just your stereotypical douchebag heel. I mean, Jay will look good as far as heel face segments go going up against him.
Mhm.
And I think Logan can talk well enough that he can out yeet Jay if necessary.
I don't know. I mean, like you said, Mike, we already know he's not going to win the belt. I mean, they keep repeating that over and over again with him too. And
Yep.
I really don't know. I'm be honest with you. I don't know what the purpose of Logan Paul is doing at WWE. Can anyone explain that to me? He's
It's
not really in any major storylines. He's in like a storyline for a couple of weeks before a pay per view. Then he disappears. Then he'll come back for some other pay per view, do a storyline for a couple of weeks, back into the show. I don't know what they're doing with him. I don't even think he doesn't draw a crowd. I don't know. I don't understand why there's this importance around him.
They're trying
But
to
I
get
mean,
that
if you want to
online
do,
audience. That's
huh?
they're trying to get that online audience. That's what it is. Dude's got how
It's
many millions of people following him on his podcast? That's what they're trying to do. They're just tapping into that online audience.
No,
it's
I
the
get
fact that
that.
he's an
If you want to
influencer.
do that, but why? What are you doing with him though? I mean, you're not. He's a part time wrestler. You keep instituting. You keep pushing him into these major title matches all the time. So I don't get it. But it's what it is. I'm a wrestling fan, so we probably think a little different than maybe somebody just sitting on the couch watching TV. But I'll be honest with you. I like Jay in this one. I did like Jay in his, with their back and forth, and the super kick at the end of it was great. I thought it was fantastic. Jay is starting to show his chops a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's starting to grow real fast. He's starting to raise that ceiling a little bit. We question how far you can go with him. If he stays on this trajectory, I mean, he very well could cement himself as maybe holding his title a little longer than we thought.
Hmm. I agree.
I feel like he's a case of you throw him into the fire to see if he can cook kind of situation. And I don't know, it looks like he could turn out pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. So this led to our next segment, the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day kind of had a backstage segment where Finn and JD kind of caught up a little bit as to why Finn wasn't notified that his buddy JD didn't come back, and kind of more of just the breakdown, right, if you will, of what is going on with the Judgment Day, and more specifically what is going on with Finn, which set up a tag team match for the night, pitting Finn and JD against Eric and Ivar, the Viking Raiders, for a number one contenders match for the New Day's tag team titles. This was a fine match. I mean, it was nice to see JD back in the ring. Towards the end of the bout, Carlito tried to interfere on behalf of the Judgment Day, but Penta came out to stop him, and then it kind of got bungled, and it led to the War Raiders hitting the War Machine on JD to pick up the win. So, what did you guys think of kind of the whole segment? And I guess the big story here is, well, Penta had another segment later, but I guess the big story here is what's going on with Finn. So, what do we think about that?
We already know where this is going. I mean, it's the eventual, fight between Finn and is going to be with Dirty Dom. I mean, at some point, that's what's coming. It's probably going to be at SummerSlam, I bet, for that title. But I mean, they're pushing this along fine. I mean, we'll see what happens. They're not. This is a storyline they're not really rushing, which is weird to me. They're rushing all the other stuff, but this one, this is like a slow crawl and what's going on with Judgment Day. So I'm interested in seeing what their plan is with them. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, the rest of the match was okay. I mean, I don't think the War Raiders are going to be holding the belts much longer. I mean, it'd probably be up to this next pay per view, and they'll probably lose the belt. So
They don't
whoever
have
they
the
put
belts.
in the front.
War Raiders don't have the belts, so it's a new day.
Oh, I'm
It
sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I
They're gonna push them to fight New Day is what's going to probably happen.
That's the only thing I kind of am disappointed in. We just had New Day versus the War Raiders, and it really wasn't anything special. I kind of almost would have rather seen New Day versus the Judgment Day, I think it would have been nice to see a different style match there. But the takeaway from all this is it's just the Judgment Day falling apart around Finn in his own head more so than the actual Judgment Day falling apart. Because the Judgment Day as a group is still coming along rather fine. It's just Finn is losing his mind when it comes to them.
Well, I'm just interested if they're going to introduce somebody else into that faction too.
With
I mean,
JD coming back, yeah.
and like I said, I'm mistaken who has the belts because the storyline. I mean, that tag belt is just a total confusion anyway. So I mean, nobody cares about that. Nobody even cared about. I don't think anybody cared about this match because there's nothing there for us to grasp a hold of to even care. So we'll see what happens. And we said it before. There's not enough tag belts on Raw, so you're gonna get repeat matches like you're getting on SmackDown. The same few tag teams wrestling each other over and over again. They really got to push some more tag teams into that division, or at least onto that brand.
Well, and to your point, like right after this, there was a segment between Penta and Chad Gable backstage where Chad Gable kind of like made fun of Penta for El Grande Americano kind of beating his brother's ass. And Penta had made a note that, the Lucha Brothers are going to get their revenge, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we might see them as a tag team sooner rather than later. I mean, this was a relatively nothing segment, but I mean, maybe a little bit more to come here. It did lead us into, in my opinion, what was the best segment on the show, which is where Becky Lynch came out to the ring and Becky Lynch cut a hell of a promo. I thought this was one of Becky's best promos in a long time. And similarly, she revealed herself to be the one who attacked Bayley, claimed that it was payback for Bayley being just a backstabbing bitch since 2019. And Lynch also claimed that, Lyra is kind of also garbage as well, and she's super disappointed in her and really just put everybody in their place. And I thought it was fantastic. And then in turn, when Lyra came out, Lyra also sounded like $1,000,000 too. And this was the one instance where the crowd was actually behind the face a little bit, which was, I mean, they cheered Becky, but they also cheered Lyra as well, which is really good to see. And if the whole purpose of this is to get Lyra over and to get that Intercontinental Championship over, which we found out later is going to be defended at Backlash between those two, I think that this is all like aces all around for this segment, and they did a very good job, presenting Lyra this way. And I'm starting to think that bringing Becky in, we will eventually get to something between Becky and Bayley, obviously, right? Probably for that IC title. So I think all this is like aces all around for everything that it did to help that belt, to help Lyra, and to just to further a bunch of feuds.
Was this like the first time that Lyra was ever actually cheered? Because I can't really recall her getting a whole lot of reaction from the crowd, and that's your women's intercontinental champion there. I It kind of sucks that she finally got a positive reaction, and she's most likely going to lose the belt to Becky at Backlash, because I feel like that's the smart play there. But I don't know. What's your thought, T?
You're right. I thought this is probably the best Lyra sounded on the microphone since she's been up on the roster. I do think they rushed to Becky Lynch turning heel though. I think they lost an opportunity to really get the crowd. Like she just returned, so obviously no one's going to boo her regardless of what she does. Haven't seen her in months, so the fan base is going to cheer no matter what she does. And I think they rolled that out a little too long. Or too soon. So I would kind of wish they would have kind of developed that storyline a little bit and maybe even ride that up to SummerSlam, maybe. Possibly is probably what they should have did. But the problem is she had 2 belts. So they got to figure out what to do with that situation when they had the belts. So they took the belts off of them. Now they're going to force these two into a match. I'm just wondering how Bayley's going to get involved in this because that should be coming up soon and see what her reaction is to this. Or like I said, this could be lining up where Becky takes the belt off her and Bayley fights Becky at SummerSlam. That could be what they're lining up now. But Lyra sounded good. I don't know how. I would like to keep her momentum going based off of that last show. If you can keep things going with her, keep her interest, keep it interesting for the crowd to keep cheering for her. I mean, I'd ride this out. I just don't. I just think that it's not in the plans for her to be in, push to the top. Not when you got Bayley and you have Becky involved in this. She's always going to be third in this, no matter what. No matter what, you're going to put these 3 together. No matter what you do, Lyra is going to be the third wheel in this. So I don't know what they're trying to accomplish right now.
Well, I mean, based on the way it was presented too, like we're gonna get a match between Bailey and Becky at some point. Like we have to, obviously. And I think what I agree with you. Like that seems like that's the bigger match right now. And if that's like a way, like if they do this correctly, they can get Lyra really, really over, and they can at the same time elevate the Intercontinental Championship for the women, which I think they desperately need to do because the belt really has felt like an afterthought ever since it's been debuted, and I think this will help it like a lot, you know, especially a star a star the caliber of Becky carrying it, and then a star the caliber of Becky having really good feuds with it as well, like meaningful feuds on TV that people give a shit about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that was good. And then this led us to another fantastic match between Stephanie Vaquer as a non-title match between herself and Ivy Nile. And this went through a couple of segments as well, just action-packed all the way around. Ivy Nile went for a running boot, but Stephanie countered with the dragon screw and delivered the package backbreaker for the win. Stephanie continues to look like one of the best wrestlers on the planet, and she's just making all of these women who normally get next to no TV time, like Ivy Nile, look like they can wrestle better than like anybody on the roster. So this is props to Stephanie all the way around. She's a super talent, and I mean, I don't want to see her leave NXT and lose the title yet, but I mean, if she comes up to the main roster and just continues to kill it, I mean, let's go.
I still think it's kind of weird that they're having her fight holding the belt on the main roster. I don't know what the whole point of that is. I mean, I know you're trying to promote her and everything, but it's interesting. I wonder if they're going to make her wrestle with that belt on one of the shows and on the main roster show and lose it. I can probably see them do that. 'Cause she's been on the main roster for a while now, doing a little bit of promo work and some matches. But she looked great in this match. And let me just say this: my hat's off to Nile. Hats off. She's never had the opportunity to actually have a real match with somebody and make it interesting. And I think there's that's another talent they should be trying to work with. If she can put on a show like that and you keep her in the ring with talent like Vakira in there, who knows what you could do with her? I mean, she has the physique. She has a very unique look. She's somebody you can possibly push in W. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't think her microphone skills are all that great, but I haven't really heard her with the mic too often to know that. I'd like to see them maybe use her a little more. But Stephanie, I think she's ready for the main roster. We'll see how this goes. She's got a good push behind the fans, and I just want to know, because they haven't done this before, make somebody with the NXT belt wrestle this many times on the main roster. So she's going to probably be on the show again tonight on NXT. I don't know if she marked to be wrestling anybody tonight.
They're trying to figure out a number one contender for her, I believe.
Yeah, so they're going to probably pull the belt off of her at the next pay-per-view. So
I think that, like I said, I believe Kevin Owens did it when he faced Cena when Owens first came up. He did it while he was the NXT champ for I think 3 pay-per-views. He wrestled Cena at something crazy like that.
I thought that was the U.S. title open invitational.
Yes, but Owens was the NXT champ at the time.
I don't remember this, but
I believe for at least the first match, he was the NXT champ. Because I remember him coming out with the belt.
I'll take your word for it. I don't remember this at all.
My only thought is that they're just trying to cross promote Stephanie Vaquer as the champ, and that's why they're utilizing her in this role.
Yeah, I mean,
normally I would see her in going against higher tier opponents than Ivy Nile, so that part kind of surprised me a little bit. I don't know. I may have missed a segment backstage with them, and I'm not sure what set this up because my program cut out for a little while. But I don't know. I feel like you should have your champ wrestling higher quality people and go from there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep, I can't disagree with that.
So then we had 2 backstage segments where it looks like we're going to get something between AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan might be taking some time off. Nick Aldis didn't really confirm anything here, but that Dom went to go and ask for time off, and Liv went to ask for time off, and this was kind of stupid. Liv asked for time off, and she's going to be filming a movie, I guess, and it was agreed. But then Dom asked for time off, and Aldis was like, because Aldis was filling in for Pierce this week, and Aldis was like, no, champions have to stay and defend their belt, but not noting that Liv also has a belt as well. So this was just kind of weird, and I don't think they thought it all the way through, but it's fine. Like it was what it was. But it's likely that we'll get a program between AJ and Dom at some point. And then we also had a vignette from Rusev as well, who I mean, again, looks good. Kind of give a little bit more background as to why he's back and what he's here to do. And, he's here to just, bring them all down, bring down everybody who is a representation of his former self, and kind of similar to his Redeemer gimmick in AEW. And it's really going to be interesting to see where they go with him. I really hope that they present him well. And, I guess we'll just see where it goes.
I love the Redeemer gimmick. I'm glad that that's something that they're carrying over in a sense from his AEW run. I think that was the best character he portrayed in AEW. I'm just glad they're not bringing over that nerd neckbeard guy that he was portraying when he first showed up over there.
Yeah, I think that I'm interested. I'm just the problem I have is I just don't know who they're going to put in front of him to develop a storyline, or is he just going to be a guy who has short term storylines and feuds with various people? Kind of use how they do with the Miz. You just kind of bring him in, institute to get a match in there. I don't want him to use him like that. I need him to go on a tear, and I just don't know who you would have on that roster that you would do it with. Because everybody's entangled in storylines, right? Or at least all your names. So I mean, it's going to wrestle maybe some mid card people. I just don't know who it would be. That's another one. I'm hoping they can figure out some space for him on the show and get him involved in some stuff. But I just don't know who. I don't know who they're going to put him up against, unless you have him join a faction, which doesn't sound like they plan on doing.
I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. They usually do these kind of things slow, right? Like with a lot of these guys. Like it took a couple of months before Penta got himself involved in a program. I mean, Ray Phoenix is not involved in a program yet. We have no idea what they're going to do with Aleister Black. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see, I guess, where they go with him. But yeah, more to come. And then this led us into before the main event match, which we'll touch on the match itself, but this led us into a segment where Pat McAfee stood on the commentary desk to address Gunther's assault from last week, and kind of stated that he stood up for Michael Cole, and Nick Aldis came out to kind of hear him out, and Pat talked about how he gives to all these charities and all this other stuff, and basically dropped a few F bombs, and it ended up in a match, which really kind of seems ridiculous to me. I don't care about this at all, but I guess if you're going to pay off this story, this is the way you have to do it. But you have a match between Gunther and Pat McAfee at Backlash, and
Figured it was coming.
I don't think anybody cares because I don't care.
It's gonna be Gunther just murdering the shit out of McAfee. They're gonna have him get like he's gonna get his Mexican destroyer that he stole from Adam Cole in, I can't remember, the Panama Sunrise in. He's gonna hit like a drop kick, and then Gunther's gonna tear his head off in a sleeper hold. And so I don't know if this is them setting up McAfee to be taking time off again.
Maybe.
Is probably what I could see it being, because you have him get murdered by Gunther, and that leaves you with he can be away for an indefinite amount of time, because we all know there's no way he's beating Gunther. He beats Gunther, consider Gunther buried deeper than anybody else ever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just surprised you don't do this like a little bit later on, right? Like if you're trying to, because he McAfee is going to go away when the football season starts, right? Like 100, he will not be around from September to the Royal Rumble. Basically, usually he returns around the Royal Rumble time the last couple of years. So it makes no sense to like write him off now, kind of during the slow season, if you will, for all of the other major sports.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I was shocked that he used F bombs. I'm surprised WWE allowed that to happen. But is Pat McAfee is expected to do stuff like that? Because kind of like you said earlier, you want to touch on his fan base and who watches his shows. He does the same thing on the shows. So
Yeah.
I guess that plays along with his character. It's just weird they pick Gunther for him to wrestle. Granted, Gunther could wrestle with anybody and make them, put on a good show. But McAfee, I thought maybe they bring out our boy. What's his face? The British guy.
Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne.
No, the commentator. The commentator.
Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett.
Yeah, Wade Barrett.
Oh, yeah.
I thought there's been a perfect opportunity to bring out Wade Barrett to stick up for Michael Cole. I mean, you could have went that route.
I said that in the segment tonight.
Yeah, but I didn't understand. I kind of wish the standing on the table thing is kind of weird for me when they're filming McAfee talking. Kind of wish he would get him in the ring. He doesn't get in the ring that often, so I think you need to get him in the ring a little more when he's talking and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know what the plan is with that. Maybe, like you said, McAfee's probably going to be gone for a while after that. He does college football. The show's going to be on, so he's got to touch base with ESPN. He's going to be pretty busy when that starts up. But, hey, it's what it is. I we'll see what the plan is.
My only other thought with this being McAfee is that maybe this is going to be a longer storyline with Michael Cole as well. That whatever's going on here with this feud between Gunther and the commentary crew is going to be something longer.
Yeah, but to what avail? I don't. Where do you go? Once he wrestles McAfee, are you going to bring out another ex-wrestler commentator to come wrestle him again?
Barrett, maybe.
Yeah, but you're going to just keep repeating it over and over again. I don't know, but you're right, though. I do agree with you, Sean. I think they are trying to line up something that involves Michael Cole.
It better end up with Michael Cole in a leotard.
God, I hope not. The old coal miners.
The coal miners.
Oh my God.
I do believe that Michael Cole deserved the chance. He doesn't get chanted enough for his work that he does with them behind the microphone.
I think Michael Cole was best.
Yeah, I thought that was cool that they did that for him. But I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we've said that a couple of times that Michael Cole has really been doing some of the best work of his career. So, but then that led us into the main event, and Rollins came out again to trying to get Sammy's answer, and Sammy obviously said no, as we mentioned at the top of the episode, and Braun Breaker's siren came out, and Braun Breaker annihilated him and hit him with 4 spears. The crowd called for another one and threw him into the ring. All the goons came down to try and get Braun off of Sammy, and then Seth hit him with the stomp to close out the show. So that was Monday Night Raw on April the 28th. Came to you live from Kansas City. Overall, guys, how do we grade it? What do we think? Are we excited, looking forward to what's going on? Give us your final thoughts.
Sean?
Go ahead, T.
It was a fine show. I don't think it really did anything to get us hyped up for anything. Other than the Seth Rollins thing, we'll see where that goes. But outside of that, I still think we're still in the early stages of some of the storylines. We still need to know where they're going with a lot of this. Outside of the Seth Rollins segments took up most of the show, and they were pretty much on TV like almost every half hour. They were showing something that had to relate to that. So I think they're gonna circle back to Jey Uso for SummerSlam, possibly against Seth Rollins. I think something's gonna come out of that, and it's gonna suck that he's gonna probably lose the belt at SummerSlam. If you ask me, I think he's gonna lose the belt at SummerSlam to Seth Rollins. But hey, listen, what? April, May, June. 5 months with the belt. That's fine. That's fine. You can still have Jay involved in some of the other storylines. I'm pretty sure the bloodline thing will come back up again. But for the show last night, I thought it was a fine show. I think it's just too early to determine on where they're going to go for SummerSlam, because everything we're watching right now is all just developing storylines for SummerSlam. So that's all we're waiting on right now.
I'd give it probably 2.5 out of 5 stars. It was an average show. Um, mostly storytelling purposes, setting up storylines for down the road, all the way to, like T said, all the way to SummerSlam potentially. The matches we did get were all right, nothing really super barn burning esque, but we got good wrestling out of it. And I don't know, I when you have long storyline segments like this, it makes the episodes feel like longer than they are, I think. So I know that I personally there were a couple points during it that like my short attention span was kicking in and I was getting distracted. And I don't like when that happens. So that's another reason why I'm not a big fan of a lot of these majorly talking episodes. So like I said, I'd say it's about an average episode.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. 2.5 out of 5 for this one for me as well. Just it was fine. I mean, the Becky Lynch thing was good. I was really happy with that. And I mean, I mentioned before I love Julia and Roxanne, so if I can get more of them on my TV, I'm all about that as well. And don't really care much about Jay versus Logan Paul. And I think that I don't really care much about most of the other segments that were going on. I'd like to see something fun out of Rusev because I really like him as well. So yeah, average episode of Raw. So that's our episode, guys. That's our breakdown of Monday Night Raw from last night. As always, thank you guys so much. If you agree with us or just disagree with us, put your comments down below. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we're going to have some more videos coming out for you this week. We will, after our contentious AFC power rankings yesterday, we will have an NFC one as well. Hopefully, it won't be as bad. We'll get these two jokers here on the same page. And yeah, thanks so much, guys, and have a great evening.